The world of drug use in clubs. You should be aware that the programme includes strobe effect lighting, and the clubbers sometimes use strong language.
Best place to do drugs is either on the dance floor, in the middle of the dance floor where there's not many security guards at all, or in the cubicles where you do get security guards, but like if you do it in between like the sort of toilet shift, you can get away with it.
Is this Daffy Duck? Another one. Didn't taste too bad. Not really, considering the shit that's in them.
How many have you had?
It's my third that is tonight now.
When you're like first coming up on a knee, the intense feelings that you get on it, like the rush as it is known. It's like, remember when you're a little kid and it's the night before Christmas and you're really excited, you got that feeling in your stomach and you're all like, oh, and really hyped up and you can't stop running around. It's like that, but it's sort of like mixed with the first time you kiss your new girlfriend, that kind of feeling. The first time you kiss your new girlfriend and being excited as a kid and just loving everybody and all your emotions are really like accelerated and really like at the limits of the most you can like be in any one emotion. The empathy you feel between somebody else who's had the same drug is absolutely, it is uplifting.
Ecstasy, by its chemical compound, by its nature, seems to calm people down. They become very loving and very caring of each other. But it's false. It's false. It derives from chemical. You know, it's not true. You know why they are like that. It ruins it.
Dance culture and drugs culture in turn have had a massive effect on society in the sense of it's affected media, it's affected fashion. This generation has got a totally different outlook. The powers that be are people that probably haven't taken ecstasy. You know, they probably haven't, but this generation that's coming in has taken drugs, has taken E, and so, yeah, you're going to see an effect.
The reality at the moment is we have a huge uncontrolled clinical trial going on there. Ecstasy, we know, has an effect on brain chemistry. We don't know whether that effect is the same in humans as it is in animals. We don't know whether the effects are reversible or not. If they're not reversible, we might have a whole generation of youngsters who have some chemical changes to their brain, the consequences of which we don't understand. And of course the worry is the sheer numbers. There are hundreds of thousands or millions of youngsters being exposed to these compounds.
It is 10 years since MDMA, better known as ecstasy, hit Britain. 500,000 people take it every week, but it hasn't just changed their lives, it's affected all our lives.
The signs of both dance culture, drug usage, and that whole kind of scene that goes with it is kind of, it's visible if you know about it, but it's invisible if you don't know about it. When you get out onto the street and you get into the young person's world, you kind of begin to see the clear effect of dance culture and the trends that dance culture is driving. And you can see it particularly in advertising where you've got sort of imagery that has to now reflect the young person's world.
Looking at the Jolly Rancher ad, it's kind of clearly depicting a sweet on the tongue, which is, you know, could be construed as a metaphor for sort of a pill on the tongue. You've also got the strapliner now available over the counter, which implies a nod and a wink to drug culture. Red Bull, you've got kind of eyes being held open by cans, simulating the effect of kind of staying up all night, the effect of giving you an energy boost, linking it to kind of club culture in terms of wanting to stay up dancing all night.
The Watches of Switzerland ads, you've got sort of a bishop sort of smoking a joint. What's interesting is that 10 years ago it probably would have been a cigarette, and that would have been quite shocking. Time Out is about going out. What Time Out have tried to do is sort of reflect that with the people that they've used in their ads. If you look at the girl who sort of looks like she's just taken ecstasy, and she's kind of just come out of a club, because her eyes are bulging, she's sweating, she's just had a long stint on a dance floor somewhere.
Well, we start off, get here about say 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. It's non-stop really, setting up. It's like just a big shell really, terminals when you come into it. But it's such, nice little areas in it. You've got so many different stairwells and little passages and so and so. You've got so much to decorate really. But every single area has got something interesting in it. At the dance floor, you've got all the lights and lasers amongst all the drapes and all the hangings, as you can see. Got 2 bars. That's the main back bar here. Main fire exit here. And as we go through to the main bar, he's just setting up the rest of the lights there. And through here is the DJ box. We're just setting this up for tonight, as you can see. Technics, got the 1210s, got the rain mixer, CD player. This is all the lighting rig. Drugs have changed the dance floors. I mean, I don't really remember like the good old days back in 88, 89. I was probably still at school, so I've only really ever known it how it is. So I've only really known it as good as it is now. But I mean, the element what we've got down here, of course it goes on. It does go on and it goes on, it's quite hard to stop. You do your best, but you do realise that people are going to do what they're going to do because they're their own person. What about outside the restaurant?
On the estate when I grew up, I mean, I was always hated, I'd like leave to go to work or leave to go out at night and be like, oh, faggot, faggot, the whole time. And a couple of years later, I'd see these people out at clubs that are totally off their heads on E, and they'd be so nice. They were like arms around you, oh, fat Tony, you're all right, even though you're queer, blah, blah, blah. It was the same people that were throwing bricks at me before they started taking drugs. Suddenly they're taking drugs and they're now, related to me. The first time I'd ever been hit in a club was by this guy who came over and headbutted me. And I was like, oh my God, I've been hit, and suddenly this big ruck went off. And the next time I did go out, this boy comes up to me so off his head on E. I was like, oh, I headbutted you. At Future, I'm really sorry. And I was like, hang on, what, I'm really sorry, that's all you can say, It was like, oh, I didn't mean to. I was like, well, why did you do it? And he was like, oh, because you're queer and all that. And I was like, oh, so it's a good enough excuse to go and headbutt someone. He's like, but I'm not like that anymore, I've changed, I'm so much nicer. And I was like, why? Because you're suddenly on E instead of coke. Anyway, 3 years down the line, I slept with him. I had an affair with him for about 3 months. Thanks, ecstasy.
What would this place be like if no one ever brought a tablet in?
Well, there's a lot of energy in this place anyway. There's like, it's not just about, some people do take drugs and some people don't take drugs. But whatever happens, the visuals, the lights, the music, it's stimulating.
Would it really, really be the same club if there was no one ever did any ecstasy?
Would it be the same? To tell you the truth, I don't really know.
There's still as many people doing E's in clubs at the moment as there have been for the last 4 to 5 years, maybe even more. The track that I got at the moment called On E starts off with Richard Jobson doing a news report.
Nearly 2 o'clock in the morning. Some of these dancers have been going non-stop for 4 hours. It's noisy and it's hot. If you're on ecstasy, it's even hotter.
I play that and the whole place erupts.
People who first discover ecstasy have got this opinion that if everyone else would just take a pill, well, the world would be a better place. I mean, I was there, I felt that. I just used to think, please, everyone take a pill, politicians, everybody, and we'll all be sorted. I think people who get into ecstasy really get into it. I mean, take it, huge amounts of it, huge amounts of the drug, because they love it. They think they've come home. You know, it's this amazing feeling. My job entails going out and doing research projects for our clients, companies such as Levi's, advertising agencies such as Grey. The most recent project was Young People and Drugs, where we were looking at the effects of drugs on youth culture and the normalisation of drugs into youth culture. Do you think that ecstasy has had an effect on youth culture, or drugs as such?
Definitely, yeah.
In what way? I mean,
because everyone does it now.
Right.
And so basically it's like accepted. It's not even like a drug anymore, is it? It's like beer.
Do you reckon you get this time, this sort of honeymoon period, when you first discover ecstasy?
Yeah, there's like nothing else.
It's like, you've never taken anything else like it. It's like a novelty. First 3 months, it's like you escape from reality. It's like mad. All you look forward to is going out and doing these.
MDMA is almost a unique compound. There are very few other compounds, if any, which have the effect that MDMA has. It actually makes people like each other. It really does have a measurable effect on the relationship between people. And I think that's why it's so popular, that's why it's used. And I think all of the whole dance drug scene has denied legitimate medicine the use of perhaps quite a useful drug.
The dance industry barely existed a decade ago. Now British people spend about £2 billion a year going clubbing. That's 5 times more than on going to the cinema.
There's more people employed in my industry now than there ever was before. It looks like it's here to stay, so there's respectable, gainful employment to be got from this industry and taxes to be paid.
One of our clients is a brewery company, and they have realised that they have to acknowledge dance culture just purely because it's changed things like people's alcohol consumption. Because obviously if people are going to go out and take E or speed, they're not going to drink alcohol, they're going to drink water or they're going to drink soft drinks. Alco pops, for a start, are definitely something that would come out of dance culture or the club scene. You know, here's a soft drink, but it's also got a hit, because people obviously take drugs for the hits. It's blatantly obvious, I think, why Alco Pops came around, because they were losing market share, you know, selling beers.
Clubs now close at 6 a.m. in the morning on average, and you know, London particularly is a 24-hour city, and you've got the area of Soho, Old Compton Street. It's wonderful to see people chilling out and enjoying themselves for the after hours. You have now got cafe culture. I wonder would that have happened 10 years ago without the advent of dance music? I think probably not.
Since the whole dance scene and culture had taken off, petrol stations must think, what on earth has happened? They suddenly had these hordes of clubbers going in to buy chewing gum, Rizzlers, probably a bottle of water. If you haven't taken ecstasy, it's hard to describe why you get that feeling, but you get this kind of urge to kind of chew, and so that's why you have chewing gum.
It's a very close synergy between drug and kind of the rave and the dance scene. I doubt very much whether one would really have had the profile without the other.
Has there ever been a time when such a massive number of people in this country have taken Class A drugs?
No, would be the short answer to that. And in terms of the amount of ecstasy in circulation, Britain probably leads the world. We may well have, per head of population, the most users. We certainly have the most deaths.
Ecstasy is a Class A drug like LSD and heroin, but the threat of a criminal record does not stop most people taking E, according to a survey in Mixmag, the Clubbers magazine. But half did say a bad experience would make them give it up.
If you take loads of it over, say, a 6-month period, constantly, every weekend, just kind of from a health point of view, you start looking shitty. You lose lots of weight and spotty and just unhealthy. Of course, there are, there's side effects. And the side effects we don't know about, which is another story. Well, how about bad experiences? Have you ever had any bad experiences with E?
Yes, I was in this club one night. I just lost control of myself completely. I just shaking constantly all night. I was up against this wall for, I don't know, it seemed like hours. Everyone was looking at me, I was just twitching. I just didn't know what I was doing.
You have your first bad E, your first bad experience, and that, like anything, you feel like you've been slapped in the face by a good friend. One guy said everyone's always giving up E when they've had a bad one, and it is true. People give it up when they've had a bad one, but they still go back to it. You're always chasing that first high, that you have, that feeling. You're always chasing that. And so it makes you cynical. It does. Made me be cynical anyway.
Hello. Oh, hello, mate. How you doing? Where are you? You at home? What colour were you looking for? The black guy. He's not working at the moment, but the round go is, the white one. The unique selling point about the way I do things is that I deliver.
You think so?
I use a mobile phone because you have to be available when people want them, and that's when they want to enjoy themselves. The phone's probably the equivalent of oxygen in this game. Without one, it's almost impossible to operate successfully.
Cheers. Do you know anyone else?
The ecstasy industry is controlled by organised crime, but the drug is filtered down to the average user by small-scale dealers.
I started dealing in 1990, and I was only selling hash, and that was just the people that I know, purely to sort of support my own habit, if you like. 1991, I suppose, is when I couldn't suppress the demand for E's. People were asking for them so often, it was stupid not to sell them, because invariably, if you didn't have the E's along with whatever else they wanted, they didn't want the other. E's became the #1 thing that they actually wanted, and everything else was byproducts. It's a sort of supermarket attitude, if you like. You've got to stock everything that they want so they can do the one-stop shop. That's what they wanted for the service.
The two key questions when you're talking about ecstasy use in the UK is how many people are using it and how much are they taking. Well, the Henley Forecasting Centre estimated that roughly 1 million people a week are going clubbing. Possibly half of them going to be regular or occasional users of ecstasy. Now, across 1994-95, police customs seized about 3 to 4 million tablets of ecstasy. Now their best guess at the amount of ecstasy that they seize is about 10%. So you could say that there might be 30 to 40 million doses of ecstasy, and that may well be a conservative estimate.
Hello? Oh, hello. Yeah, I can't stop actually because I've got a policeman in front of me.
The average ecstasy pill at source would probably cost pence per 100, not each, but for 100 pills it would cost you a few pence to make if you're on a major scale. There are a number of manufacturers, there's less than 30. And of those 30, I would suppose about probably 4, to my mind now, are what I would call major players. They dominate the market.
Bye-bye.
Most ecstasy pills that I know about in England do come from Europe. Reason being that it's much easier to get the products that you need to make ecstasy pills in those countries. A lot of the people that manufacture them over there are UK based, and the end product is easier to get into this country because it's been smuggled. Have I been to a manufacturing plant? Yes, I've been into one. The workspace was probably about 80 feet by 80 feet. It was not a huge place, but it was actually crammed, floor to ceiling, wall to wall, with orders that were ready to go out, but yet, they call them the printing presses, they weren't stopping actually making pills. It was an ongoing thing, and you just couldn't make them fast enough.
Many people start taking E when they are under 18. A survey reported in 1990 that awareness of drugs in the 14 to 16 age group had quadrupled in a single year. The trend has continued ever since.
We've come out today armed with a camera to talk to young people about what they get up to in their spare time. The reason we do it on camera is so that we can take it to our clients and they get a real feel for what these people are like. We went to Carnaby Street because it's a place where lots of young people hang out, and we were there during school holidays, so the kids were out from school. And basically, I just approached people and asked them if they'd be prepared to talk to me about drugs. How old were you when you took acid?
I was about 14 when I did acid first, I think, yeah.
Have you done it much since then?
Yeah.
Lots?
Yeah.
Well, how often would you say that you take acid?
I don't know. I used to do it quite a lot. I don't do it so much anymore.
Can you tell me what would be a typical weekend?
Probably Friday night, just go out, get really stoned, and then Saturday probably go out to a club, pop a couple of pills or do some whiz or something.
How important are drugs to you?
Well, to me now, I don't know about down here, but to me, I've stopped taking these. I've been off these now for like about 6 months. I think this country's full of paranoid young people, basically. Because when you get in a club now, like people are all like they don't even feel like they're good enough to talk to you unless they're on a knee.
I've been doing it for 6 years, and it's just like an everyday thing. It's like getting up and like brushing your teeth. Like I can't go to a rave and not really have anything. Same as like an alcoholic can't go to a pub and not have a drink.
Yeah. How would you compare drugs to alcohol?
A lot better and a lot safer, because when you're pissed, I mean, you can go and like punch a crap out of someone. If you're stoned or something, you're not exactly have the energy, but when you're pilling or speeding, you're too happy.
The really young children do surprise me, because it's obviously, because dance music and the whole dance culture is getting much bigger now, people are getting into it from a much younger age, and so that does surprise me when you get 13, 14-year-olds taking drugs.
It's interesting to think why youngsters find ecstasy so attractive. Perhaps it's just a combination of producers producing the compound in large quantities, packaging it appropriately, the developments and the dance scene, and a whole variety of factors just coming together at the same time, and then the whole thing takes off. Perhaps one of the reasons is because the clubs are marketing it effectively, that they are very, very important in the way that ecstasy is distributed. They provide a focus to buy it and to consume it.
The 500,000 people who take ecstasy every weekend are all breaking the law. The maximum sentence for possession is 7 years. Maximum sentence for supplying Class A drugs is life imprisonment. Suppliers can be professional dealers, but they can also be people who pass on pills to their friends without making a profit.
My name's Scott, I'm an apprentice engineer. It's a job I really enjoy, I absolutely love it. And I'm a raver. I have been a raver for about a year now.
What's so good about Hell's Skelter?
I've never been before, but I've seen the video. The jungle's the best thing about it. The jungle, the atmosphere, everyone's being in the jungle, everything.
I do it because it's just a good buzz. It's absolutely amazing, something I've never experienced in any other scene that I've been involved in.
I'm going to go into Hell's Skelter. I'm going to take some drugs and I'm going to fucking dance all night and have a madden. Oh shit. I'm afraid it's just all broken up into powder in my hand.
You've got an event here, which we are policing. It's that drug culture where they go in, they take the drugs. When we arrest them, they openly admit that it's a rave and they're taking their ease.
Standard dove, I'm afraid. Unfortunately, I was only managed to get one for tonight off a friend of mine. But usually I do take more than that, but there weren't that many about for tonight. But I should be able to get more in there. There's usually people offering them around actually inside the venue. So I should be able to get sorted and hopefully I'll have an excellent night.
How many would you take tonight?
Ooh, probably 4 tonight, I reckon. That's what I want to try for anyway.
We are policing it. We are seen to be policing it. And the question is, okay, so by policing it openly and walking around openly, knowing very well that these people are taking drugs, what kind of message we're giving?
What is the message then?
I don't know. Are we accepting it? I don't know.
But is that what it means?
No, it doesn't. We're trying to do our best. We're trying to police it. But at the same time, we know what is happening, and there's very little we can do. I mean, what you see now is the tip of the iceberg.
It's not really a problem getting drugs into the place. Just conceal it somewhere in your body where they're not likely to search, in your shoes or in my underwear.
All right, thank you very much. Cheers.
The atmosphere that the dance music culture, raving, manages to generate is absolutely shocking. It really is. The moment you walk into an event, an arena, you can just feel it in the air. There's a feeling of I don't know, something's alive. There's something alive somewhere in the room, and it's the music. You can hear the music pulsing out, and all the people responding to the music, and the MCs or whatever. And it's just a really amazing buzz. It's you can feel the air around you. There's all this happiness and smiling faces, and people jumping about all over the place, just enjoying themselves and letting their hair down and doing what they want to do just for one night. It's one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. Everybody's all just loved up. You go to a rave with 6,000 strangers, and halfway through the night there's 6,000 of your best mates.
Tell me how you feeling, Scott.
I'm feeling fucking amazing. I managed to get myself some 8 pills since I got in here. Now I'm absolutely just fucking flying. I'm having a banging night. Can't get fucking enough of it. I can't fucking keep still though. I don't know what I'm talking about.
What a night, man. What a night. Helter Skelter. I fucking love it.
Before I took my first eat, I'd ask people, I was going around to them and saying, what does it do? And people were trying to tell me the experiences you have on it, but nothing they said could have prepared me for that. Oof, God, I love you. You're my best mate, and all that. I didn't expect any of that. Even though people had said, you love each other, I had my own perceptions of what that would feel like, but when it actually happened, I was like, oh my God, I really do love you, you're ace. And it really was an experience which changed my life. For the better, I'd say.
Tell us what's going on in your head.
What's going on in my head? I fucking love everybody I do. I just want to go around meeting people and shaking people's hands and hugging people and stuff.
My baby. Yeah.
It's false. It derives from chemical. It's not true. You know why they are like that. It ruins it. It gives me no pleasure at all.
Someone's just got a shotgun here, blown my brains out without killing me yet, and just left me fucking completely trashed.
And it's wicked.
Like it? Nice. What is it?
It's absolutely fucking brilliant. It is the balance.
Oh, it starts off in your head. My head started going tin. My eyes started to roll. Fucking had to sit down. I couldn't stand up to start with. I was just like, oh my god, what the fuck's going on here? Then all of a sudden, I just like it was all right again. And I was up and I was like, oh, running around. I couldn't stop dancing.
I've seen public order trouble from people who drink alcohol, and it's more difficult to police them than to police the sanctuary. It's less hard work for us, but you're standing there and you know why they're out like that, and you know because they've taken a Class A drug.
Doesn't mean anything.
No, it doesn't. Absolutely not. And any officer who says to you, oh, it's much better to police people who are taking Class A drugs than drunkards are looking for an easy life, to me it's worse.
I think it's an important part of my job to make sure, as far as I possibly can, I kind of stay in touch with what's happening on the drug scene.
What kind of drugs do you do then?
Ecstasy and amphetamine, that's speed, or known as whiz. So very good drug, very enjoyable. Shouldn't overdo yourself, no matter what people say. There's a lot of peer pressure on the drug scene. And people say, no, I've had 5 pills or I've had 6. It doesn't matter, as long as you're happy with what drugs you're taking. Don't listen to anybody else. Peer pressure is a bad thing in the drug scene, but you want to listen to your own head and feel what your own body can take.
So you can come to a place like this and have a good night without doing it?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah. What are you taking tonight?
What have I taken? I haven't taken much at the moment. I take a gram and drop 2 pills in one.
Right. What eat?
Right. I just want to say that I think the dance culture is actually about dancing, not about ecstasy, and not about all these useless drugs that people think it's about. I just want to say I came here to have a wicked time, and I have. And I might have done drugs, but that's not the point. I came here to dance.
What ecstasy may have done, because a lot of people take it and, you know, let's be honest, see around them other people taking it and not coming to a great deal of harm, if harm at all, the ecstasy may have been a kind of catalyst drug that has raised the level of acceptability of drug use in general, including LSD and amphetamine. And it may have been that the ecstasy kind of created a sort of platform of acceptability.
I've seen kids, I've seen youngsters of 17, 18, looking absolutely dreadful, with tubes all over the place. And I don't want to dramatize it. I don't want to, you know, it's not in my place to do, but I've seen it. And as a human being, you can't help but think, what is it for? What for? We've all partied. We've all enjoyed ourselves. Why? Is it really worth it? You know, it frightens me and it saddens me.
Officer! Officer!
We got called by the head of security. They've caught somebody who's suspected of dealing with drugs, and the reason they thought they suspected of dealing with drugs purely and simply is the number of drugs he's got on him.
You see how they treat you? You see how they treat you? Don't worry about it. What do you mean don't worry about it? You're not getting me held in this position.
Just stand still.
Alright, well let go of me then. Let go and be on telly. I don't agree to be on telly, officer.
Get camera in. He was seen by security officers counting a lot of money.
Tanisha, I've got your £500 here.
As he was being searched, they've noticed in his hand that he had bags of white tablets. which is really ecstasy.
Get the key!
Before you put them in the van, just check the van is clear.
I'll show you, I'll even give you directions.
Hang on, where is your car? Hang on, before you go, where is your car?
It's just like down that road there, and then you take a left.
Sit in the van, sir.
I'm supposed to stay here by myself.
Indonesia.
Cool.
For what? I'll come up there. I'll try and get a lift up there.
She knows where the car is, right?
What?
If somebody go with her to the car, park just down here.
Yeah, I will.
I've known people go for 5, 6, 7 years for unlawful possession with intent to supply.
Right.
But I cannot possibly feel sorry for somebody who's selling drugs who could cause death. I have been to the local hospital several times, and attending to people. Feeling sorry does not come into it at all. To the contrary, I want to see that person banged up for a long, long time. Been dropped, sure, yeah. Just before you go.
Yeah, what you're witnessing here is a frame-up anyway. Why? Because I had money, and because I had money, they want my money. And because I won't give them my money, they decide to take my drugs. They decide to take my money.
Talk you about.
She's a 19-year-old. She was purely in possession of a small quantity of a controlled drug. Can you tell me why you're here?
Because I was caught with drugs.
You were caught with drugs. Okay. Now you come down here to attend a rave, a party, call it what you will. Okay. And whilst you were in there, you were found in possession of a small quantity of a controlled drug, aren't you? Why did you have the drugs with you?
Just so good for fun.
Sorry? You're going to have it for fun. And I've also taken into consideration the fact that you haven't been in trouble with the police before, you have no convictions for any drugs-related offences whatsoever. And because of that, I'm going to administer a caution.
We're kind of accepting it now. When I say we, not the police, that this culture, they're accepting that. That's the thing to do.
Does that annoy you?
It doesn't.
Does it disappoint you?
It disheartens me, because we are talking about bright, young, bright people with a bright future. It frightens me.
Okay. And there is a proviso at the bottom, which I'd like you to read and sign.
You're right. Leave that's the case of it.
My colleague will take you up to the station officer to get your numbers.
Of course, you've got the one who takes it when they goes to a rave. It'll be naive of me or alarmist of me to say, well, everybody is a criminal and everybody go on burgling. But there's a large majority who goes burgle and break into cars to get money to buy these drugs. They're expensive.
What would you say to someone that said you must be doing crime to come out like this?
I'd say it's not true, because I don't do any crime. Well, the only crime I do is taking drugs and having them on me, like, you know, before I take them. I don't like go out robbing people and stuff like that to pay for like my drugs. I go out and earn it like anybody else does.
What happened with your friends tonight, you know, for each of them?
I haven't got a clue. I hardly saw any of them all night. Just every now and then we just like passed each other. There's one of our mates, Colin, he like went on a mad paranoid trip about, I don't know what about. He just stood out in the rain all night long.
How you doing? You alright there? Yeah?
Alright, man.
How was your evening?
It's alright, not too bad.
You've been standing out here for a while, like, getting very wet, haven't you?
I have. But I don't mind. It's alright getting wet, I suppose. You have a shower, didn't you?
Why have you been standing out here so long?
I don't know, just one of them things that you do, innit? Just stand in the rain.
ended up doing 4 E's and half a gram of whiz, amphetamine sulfate. I had an absolutely excellent night. I did. It was absolutely wicked. It's different anyway with like you two being there and that. It's absolutely just. I met loads of people, and before like I started to feel ill, I was well like loved up, just going around meeting people and shaking their hands and hugging people and stuff like that. I was having like real good. But then it all went when I started to feel ill, and I had to stop then and just sit down on the side.
What did you put it down to?
Because I was a bit ill before I came out anyway. When like this morning, I had like bad stomach and I felt like I was going to be sick. And then it doesn't help my stomach, does it, by going and shoving chemicals into it all night long. There's nothing been proved yet, has there, like of what damages it can do to your body and stuff like that. But some of the theories I've been put forward, like your brain cells being killed off and then growing back in a deformed way and stuff, that really bothers me. That does. But it doesn't bother me enough to like stop me taking them, I suppose.
If you knew, if there was proof that it definitely damaged your brain, would you stop taking them?
No, I don't think I do, because at the end of the day, you're dead anyway, ain't you? I could like take E's all my life and then die, or I could not take E's all my life and then die. At the end of the day, you're going to die anyway, so that's why I look at it anyway.
But let's not forget that the fundamental thing is alcohol is legal, and ease isn't, and let's never ever lose the sight of that. See, it's no good justifying, saying, well, you've got hundreds of people who takes ease and nothing happens to them, and you've got people who are alcoholic and what have you. Still remains the fact that one is legal, one is illegal.
I went on a simulator at the last hour scale when I was coming up on a pill. And when I got off, I couldn't walk, my legs were all shaky, and I was like, oh my god, I just had to sit down and just wait for like that bit of it to pass.
About a year or so ago, you know, it was obvious Scott, he was changing, he was getting into the rave scene. I started going to a club in Leicester called By Heart. Used to go there every week, and there was always rave music banging out of his speakers as opposed to heavy metal. I do know what's going on, you know, and it was pretty obvious if he was going raving, he was taking pills. I always was totally open with Scott, and me and my wife have always said to Scott, if you get to the stage where you want to experiment with drugs, consult us because we can guide you along the right lines. You can help your kids, and your kids can trust you much better if you're totally honest with one another. If we know what's going on, when you know he needs help, we can help. If you don't know what's going on, if you don't know what your kids are up to, how can you help them? With acid, particularly back in the 60s, you took acid then and you went on a trip, and it wasn't a communal kind of sharing experience, although you probably did it with other people who were doing the same, but you all went your own separate ways in your minds kind of thing. But with ease, you don't do that. You know, you feel good, you feel like you want to be with people, and you want to be with people who are your friends. I've done about 4 or 5, which isn't a great deal, but I've tried them. I mean, I don't go raving or anything, but I sit in the lounge with my stereo on, and I just feel bloody nice, you know. And people come round to see Scott, and people come round to see me. I'm so glad to see people, and my friends they just seem more of a friend than I've ever seen, and my family, you know, I love them more than I've ever loved them, you know, and I've always loved them loads anyway, and I just feel bloody nice really.
So we've got 35 here in one bag.
Just one bag of green vegetable matter.
Yeah. And one bag of green vegetable matter.
What will happen with the pills now?
They will be taken and put in what we call drug property, and then will be sent to laboratory for it to be analysed, and that will be given an evidence against the person in a court of law.
When we receive a tablet from the police to identify a tablet that's suspected of being ecstasy, what we actually do is to measure its size. We'll weigh it, we'll describe its physical characteristics.
It's round, it's 8.54 millimetres.
We enter the information into the Tic-Tac database, which will then retrieve products which match that description, and then we'll see pictures which we can decide whether they match the unknown tablet or not.
And there are 2 products in the system which match that description. The first one contains amphetamine and the second one contains MDMA.
One of the difficulties with ecstasy is been the media. The media has hyped up the importance of deaths, and in youngsters' minds the main risks from using MDMA is death. And I think that's been devalued to some extent when people compare the number of deaths from using ecstasy with the number of deaths from horse riding and various other sports and legitimate activities. I'd like to see the focus taken off death. I mean, clearly, tragically, a significant number of youngsters do die, but they die from lots of other things too. What I'm more concerned about is the subtle effects that these chemicals might have, which I don't think we have adequately conveyed to youngsters. We really are concerned about the consequences that the exposure to these compounds might have in the long term, and we don't understand them. There are groups of youngsters who shouldn't use MDMA under any circumstances. We know that anybody who has epilepsy, it would be very unwise to use it. Anybody with a heart condition would be very unwise to use it. Anybody who has any mental illness themselves, or even a close relative, would probably be very unwise to use it. So perhaps we should concentrate on those who definitely shouldn't use it, but I still wouldn't say that the rest of the population is safe when they do use it. We still have this big question mark over the effects it has on them too.
So do you think these are dangerous?
Yeah,
or is it how you use them?
It's how you use them, but essentially they are dangerous, but it's a decision you make. Crossing the road can be dangerous, but it's a decision you make.
Do they sort of change your outlook, change your attitudes about anything?
We changed my attitude to pills because at first I only had like a misinformed interpretation of them, which is basically because of the government and.
So what, when you say misinformed, what do you think?
Well, basically, all you get is like it's drugs, it's bad, that kind of stuff. You take pills, you're gonna die, but I don't know, I had a really good time.
Our parents, like us, our grandparents or whatever, you know, they think, oh, these kids have got it easy because we're not working in a factory when we're 13 or whatever, yeah? But we like have to put up with the pressure of people, you know, trying to get us to take brown and stuff with drugs. I mean, our parents couldn't contend with drugs, could they? They wouldn't know what to do.
We know that MDMA tinkers with the brain in terms of its serotonin use. And serotonin is involved in the control of mood, and it's linked to depressive illness. So the worry has to be that if we change the way the brain handles serotonin, we might predispose those people to some consequences of that. And the most likely consequences are, at the moment, to do with depression.
But we don't know.
No, we don't know.
If you are a parent or an ecstasy user and would like more information on the